Did you know that you can now get your taxes done at the same time you're shopping for your nutritional supplements at Vitamin Shoppe? So they say that the nutritional supplement industry is a Me Too industry. Totally agree with that. It happens all the time. But in my wildest dreams, would have never thought that Vitamin Shoppe would follow in Walmart's lead in offering tax services in the same place you could buy a jug of protein powder. So I'm obviously joking. You're not going to be able to get your taxes done at Vitamin Shoppe this year. Maybe, not sure. You can actually do that at Walmart. So busy professionals, if you're looking to maybe save a little bit of time, also make sure that you can get your gains in, head to Walmart somewhere around March and get your taxes done. Why get your protein powder? But what is real about all this and why I'm talking about taxes and Vitamin Shoppe is that Vitamin Shoppe was acquired by a tax services company called Liberty Tax for $208 million. And before you guys get too mad, I apologize for the lateness in this video. I was traveling when this announcement came out. When I got back from that trip on Sunday, I got extremely sick. Life happened, excuses, you guys know how it is. But let's make sure that I make up for that. Make sure that I give you guys a ton of value in this video so you guys are not too upset that I took a little bit of time to put this video out. So waking up on the morning of August 8th, I was excited because I knew Vitamin Shoppe was reporting their earnings. I clicked on the press release, earnings press release, before the conference call was going to be started. Made sure I got a little bit of information before I jumped into that conference call, which actually was canceled. But before I clicked into that press release, I thought it's just going to be like the last couple of earnings reports. You're going to be down mid-single digits. You're going to be talking about your turnaround plan, how it's progressing, get you guys some information, pull some insights from there, and thought it was going to be over. But it was the complete opposite. I got thrown a big, fat curveball, and that was that Vitamin Shoppe was acquired. I'll be completely honest, I did not know it was coming. I would say that mergers, acquisitions environment is very good at this point. There is a bunch of consolidation that I believe is going to happen in the industry over the next couple of years, but I did not know personally that Vitamin Shoppe was going through all of this. It makes a little bit more sense in hindsight, but it caught me off guard just like everybody else, and it definitely caught me off guard by who purchased it. So by now, you guys have already probably heard all of the jokes around Vitamin Shoppe and tax services, but let's dig in to what the facts are. Liberty Tax, which owns Liberty Tax Service, you guys maybe have gotten your taxes done there over the years. You guys might be aware of them. But this company, holding company that owns Liberty Tax Services is called currently Liberty Tax. It is traded publicly on the over-the-counter markets as the stock symbol TAXA, Tax A. This holding company, Liberty Tax, also just purchased Buddy's Home Furnishings. This is about a 290 location home furnishings retail brand. About 90% of it is franchised. And earlier, Liberty Tax, also in the process of changing their name from Liberty Tax because they're no longer going to be a tax services company. They're going to be an investment holding company. They're changing their name to the Franchise Group. So what is the next move for the Franchise Group? I think it makes sense for them to probably be uplisted from over-the-counter markets. They're going to be more than likely applying for that uplisting. And then secondly, they're going to be trying to acquire more businesses. One of the interesting things about the purchaser of Vitamin Shoppe, Liberty Tax and Vitamin Shoppe, one of the major investors in both companies is Vintage Capital Management. So I kind of looked into their holdings currently that they have on their website, and one of the ones that I thought maybe was going to be added to a portfolio of companies would probably be Papa Murphy's Pizza. It's one of those take and bake pizza companies. I don't know if they do have other holdings that are not on their website. I didn't dig into some of their filings to see what their holdings were, but the Franchise Group is going to be adding to their holdings. They said this in the press releases. They've said this in multiple news clippings during the time when they purchased Buddy's Home Furnishing. So that one is definitely going to happen. Not sure if any of them are going to be complementary to the Vitamin Shoppe, but overall, they are going to be making acquisitions. And before I jump into maybe what this all means to the Vitamin Shoppe, some changes to their business model, I just want to get into the Q2 2019 earnings real quick. Like I said, they didn't have a conference call, so I can't get a lot of meat behind some of the numbers. So just want to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of how they did this quarter. So they had total sales this quarter of $271-ish million. That was down 7.5% year over year. Not a good quarter comparable to some of the last ones that the Vitamin Shoppe has had. Same store comps, these are locations that have not changed in the last 12 months. These were down 7.5% as well. So again, not good numbers. The one area that was kind of a little bit of a positive was that the Vitamin Shoppe is managing their enterprise costs better. So they had a overall gross margin increase year over year. This quarter, it was 33.3%. The 2018 Q2's was 32.2%. So they did get a really good bump in their gross profit. One of the areas I've talked about a ton is around some of the store closures, the store optimization plan. Vitamin Shoppe is still working through a lot of those lease agreements, trying to figure out where their options are. They're evaluating some of their low-performing stores, trying to figure out where they can close some stores that they have some duplication of coverage on. So this quarter they closed 4 stores. They didn't open any new stores. They do have plans to open some new stores, but they're going to be smaller format stores. Talked about this in another video. And their total store count at this point is 765. That is down 17 store locations year over year. Another thing that I kind of picked away from the financial statements was that they took a $9 million impairment cost on their trade name. Impairment cost is just like a non-cash yearly evaluation of the goodwill of the business, and the last few years of Vitamin Shoppe have been kind of down, so they've needed to write down some of that goodwill. Carrying value of the trade name, the Vitamin Shoppe name, the retail name, did not match the fair value currently when they did their yearly evaluation, so they did write down that trade name $9 million this quarter. So like I said, unfortunately, they didn't have a conference call, so I didn't really get some of the analyst questions that were going to be asked around this acquisition, around some of the numbers of the quarter. Also didn't get any CEO Sharon Leite's comments. That's always really good. She always has a really good conference call. She adds a lot of information and insights around the numbers. They did make some public comments that were just some boilerplate type of comment around the acquisition in the quarter, but nothing of much value to share with you guys. But what I did have was that the Vitamin Shoppe actually presented at a Jefferies consumer investment conference in June. So there was some information in a report, in a presentation that they gave that can give us a little bit of insight about what's going on now. And a lot of those things definitely going to be carried over by the franchise group. So the term that they used in this presentation was that they are currently in a reinvention phase. I agree. You could call it a transformation phase, you could call it a turnaround phase, you could call them all these different names, but I totally agree Vitamin Shoppe is in one of these phases that they need to change a lot of things they're doing around their business. And one of the main areas that they've talked about a bunch in this presentation was around focusing their efforts towards being a true specialty retail brand. This is what I talk about all the time with you guys around creating exclusive experiences. This is how you survive today in the retail world. So the Vitamin Shoppe is going all in on this, and they have a bunch of different pillars and different kind of strategies and tactics around this reinvention phase. The first one is going to be around providing extremely high quality merchandising that's also extremely on trend around a lot of different things that you've seen me talk about before: keto, plant-based, and a ton of other areas that are gaining a bunch of attention in the nutritional supplement space. They're also going to be focusing on their customer service expertise. They no longer want to think about things in a transactional basis. They don't want to think about things short term. They're going to be thinking about things being a long-term coach. They want to add value. They want to be that company you go to when you have a question about a very intricate category of consumer packaged goods and fast-moving consumer goods. There is a goal usually surrounding the purchase of these products. There's usually an intent around purchasing these products. So a lot of times somebody might know where they want to go and they might not know how they can get there. So adding all of that value throughout that loop is going to be where Vitamin Shoppe believes they can create an exclusive experience. third area they talked about was private label. They talked about private label a lot in that presentation. I'm going to be popping up a screenshot of just one of the slides for you guys that you guys can look at right here. But you see them thinking about private label in a bunch of different ways. But if you noticed in the quadrant, in kind of the super premium area or around vitamins and specialty supplements, you see this like coming soon. And what that actually is around personalized nutrition. Not a lot of details that I could find that they've put out any details around this. They did have kind of like a placeholder image in the presentation around some of the personalized vitamin offerings that they're going to be having at the Vitamin Shoppe. So if I can get more information on this personalized vitamin and nutrition offerings and kind of all the different things that are going on with that, I will get those details for you guys. Another kind of main kind of thread within the presentation was around omni-channel, making sure that the customer is at the center. The Vitamin Shoppe is offering everything from an omni-channel experience to that customer. They can shop when they want, how they want. They can get the personalized experience that they expect in retail today. And I've talked about this extensively in other videos. You guys can jump back to some of those ones on Vitamin Shoppe or GNC or just a number of other retail videos that I put together. Omni-channel is something that if you're not fully aware about that, you don't know what that term means, I would type that into the Google machine, learn a little bit about it, because it's going to be one of those things that you hear constantly. But Vitamin Shoppe also just kind of talked about just overall like stores, not only how they're going to utilize stores through an omni-channel approach, but just how they're going to be looking at stores or their retail footprint as a whole. They are talking about opening up new store locations, a smaller format, a new style of locations. Those are going to be replacing some of the older locations. These are also going to be probably put in places that they currently are not at. They also talked about some store within a store type concepts, making sure that they can increase their exposure to different audiences, to different foot traffic. You're seeing this being done extensively at their competitor, GNC. GNC has a store within a store at a ton of Rite Aids. They have them at Albertsons, supermarkets. They have them at Dick's Sporting Goods. This is something that Vitamin Shoppe is looking to do as well. I think they started this with some military store within a store concepts with their private label, but they're looking to extend that. You could probably expect some other partnerships. And then finally, they talked about international expansion, which has been one area that the Vitamin Shoppe has shied away from. They did have some store locations in Canada, I believe. They didn't do very well. They also have tried some different offerings in different international markets. I think been through maybe just the purchasing of some of their private label products, not necessarily creating branded stores in those international countries. But they're going to be looking to do this. This is going to be something that they're going to, again, probably copy a lot of what GNC is doing. GNC is growing a ton internationally. The Vitamin Shoppe at this point, I don't believe they have the brand equity internationally. So there's going to be a little bit of slower move in some of those markets. But what I'll say is there's a lot of markets that would probably love to have some brand recognition on the retail front to a leading U.S. retailer. So I think there's some opportunities out there. They're just going to have to explore which ones work and which ones don't for their business model. But let's bring this all back to the acquisition and the name change that Liberty Tax is going through to the franchise group. The assumed reinvention path is to some type of franchise model. Now, is this franchise model going to be international only? Is this going to be some blended type of model that GNC has on the domestic front? Or is this going to be all 750 locations are going to change to a franchise model and any international locations that they add? I don't have the answers right now. I am going to prod and hopefully get those answers as quick as possible when I do know how that is going to evolve. But what I'll say is the acquirer, Liberty Tax, or now known as the franchise group, their main strategy, what they've talked about in every press release since they're changing this name to the franchise group, is the acquisition of franchise-oriented or complementary businesses, including businesses that are not presently subject to franchise agreement. But these acquisitions have the potential of being franchised in the future. So very telling of what the Vitamin Shoppe is going to be like. Like I said, I don't know at what percentage of the overall business will be franchised. I will say that in some instances, it does help the economics of the retail business. In some other cases, it completely changes the Vitamin Shoppe's business model and creates a lot of complex kind of scenarios that maybe they don't want to tackle currently in the short term. But what I'll say is that it's on the table. It's got to be on the table. You could just read between the lines there and know that it's on the table in some fashion. And the pieces, honestly, are in place for some shift in this business model. You have Vitamin Shoppe focusing on private label. You have them deleveraging a lot of their real estate portfolio exposure. You have them focusing on international expansion, which is more than likely going to be on a franchise model from a distributor. So it kind of seems like there's going to be something that is going to change. But what I'll say is if you're part of the Vitamin Shoppe business, you sell to the Vitamin Shoppe, I wouldn't really be alarmed in any way that something is going to drastically change in the short term. What I'll say is that they are continuing with their transformation phase, their turnaround phase, their reinvention phase, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of changes that are already happening at the Vitamin Shoppe. They don't need to throw more gasoline on the fire by just completely blowing up the business model. So what I'm going to say is they're going to probably try to make sure that they can level off the business, make sure they can get the business back on stronger footing. At that point, then they can change the model to what makes more sense for the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.